Good morning. Don't adjust your screen. Pastor Scott is not here. I'm Bill Coughlin, and I just want to tell you that Pastor Scott has not been abducted by Catholic nuns that are still upset with Martin Luther and what he did so many years ago. But I am here to share with you the gospel according to Bill, the second chapter. And I hope that you can take from it something that will help you, or hopefully help someone that you know that may be going through something that I endured for about 5 months. A little over 5 months ago, two uninvited guests came into our home and into our lives. Anxiety and depression came, and they both stayed too darn long. I descended into a very dark time, one that I never anticipated, expected, or prepared for. So how do you prepare for the ugly twins of anxiety and depression? All I know is that each of my siblings had encountered them at some point in their lives. They managed to overcome them, and they found their way back to normal. Now, it all began when I decided to leave a job for what I thought would be a far better opportunity than the one that I had pretty much kind of suffered through for 8 years. I'd been dealing with long-term insomnia, and my former employment situation led to a new and very troubling condition. I became very anxious, and this anxiousness led to a loss of sleep, and that caused more anxiousness, kind of a vicious cycle. And then depression. I lost my self-confidence. I began to think more about the past and how I really hadn't achieved any kind of career success. Throughout the clouds, the fog, and the darkness that lingered, I didn't give a lot of consideration to what I have, and still do. For one, I've got a marriage to a wonderful, supportive wife who is and has been my best friend, my very best friend for 47 years. From late September of last year until early March of this year, I struggled with the ugly, evil twins of anxiety and depression. For some reason, I revisited the past and the failures that I should have left behind, and I let those failures and hurt, the pain of my adolescence visit my mind again. So they came without bringing any gifts. They never offered to contribute in any way. Anxiety and depression came, and they lived in my mind rent-free for about 5 months. During that time, I became afraid. I became uncertain, and I asked why a lot. I also became very fluent in profanity, and I still am. I know that my situation would change. I just didn't know when. There were some days when I actually thought that I would die from the physical effects of the anxiety. It does take a toll on both the mind and the body. I know that I lost about 25 pounds, and thankfully I've gained it all back through a lot of hard work. There were those days when I thought about dying, thinking that if this is it, if this is how it's going to be, Lord, I want out. But truthfully, I do remember saying that a couple of times, a couple of lonely days I had in November of 2022, that I just don't want to live like this. I just want out, if this is what it's all about. Well, as we know, God has other plans. God has his agenda. And I have always believed in God, now more than ever. I believe that God tests us and that he brings or places individuals into our lives at certain times for a reason. The love, the prayers, and the support that I've received from my friends and family have made a difference. Cards that were sent, words of love written and spoken have helped, and they have healed better than any medicine ever could. I know that I needed help, and I knew how to get that help. Along the way, I learned to tolerate the inflated ego and frequent acerbic comments of a psychiatrist who provided a minimal amount of medicinal help for what I had. Of course, after a while, the new medication I've been taking has helped a lot, and it's returned me to a normal life once again. But there are other factors that have contributed to my triumphant return. When previous prescriptions caused more confusion, anxiety, and depression, and less hope for help, as I struggled and managed to move forward, like some lost soul, a call from any one of my dear friends here at Holy Cross, offering their time and their hearts, they did what no medicine could ever do. To those of you who I called, or talked with, and depended on too many times, forgive me for not knowing how important boundaries are. Yes, there were several factors that contributed to my return from the trip that I never wanted to or expected to take. And of course, I found behavioral health professionals to help me and guide me. Dr. Susan Danielson, my therapist, is a good woman and a wonderful, outstanding counselor. She lets me be my true self, and she always gives me the permission to clothe my anger and hurt in justified profanity. It took almost 6 months for my psychiatrist to find the right med to bring me back to normal that I'm enjoying once again. 6 months of physiological and metabolic chaos and mental health challenges tested me in so many ways. So now I turn the page and I close the book on a story that I never wanted to read or write. I've regained my self-confidence. I've returned to enjoying 3 of my favorite passions: reading, writing, and of course, working out. I've also begun to set and achieve some new personal goals. One of those goals is to be available to find out how and if and where I can help others that have had to endure what I've been through. My friend Jim, who was once a member here at Holy Cross, told me a few months ago that God had an assignment for me. Maybe that dark period that I passed through was it. I don't know. I do know that since February, I look forward to my weekly Bible meetings, Bible study meetings with Jim and about 40 other seasoned Christians at St. Michael's Lutheran Church in Kent. To those of you who are watching or listening to me as I share this episode, I want to emphasize how important it is to be available for someone who may be going through either anxiety or depression, or both. If you know someone in your family, a friend or a relative, or someone in church who is going through an episode of anxiety and depression, let me offer some ways that you can do, things that you can do to help. First of all, mental illness, specifically anxiety and depression, are not contagious. You don't need to socially distance yourself from anyone. And for God's sake, and that person's sake, do not wear a mask. What you need to do is show empathy. You need to be supportive. You need to listen to someone walking this road. Truly, really listen. Show compassion. Listen, support, and love this individual. Be Christian-like. Help them to find the help that they need if they're not so sure about what to do themselves. Be there for them. Many of you listened to me when I was hurting. You were there for me. When part of me was wandering in some semi-state of normal, you gave me love and support. Thank you for being there then, and thank you for being here today. Realize that what happened to me last fall could happen to you. Someone that you know or love. Maybe it's happening right now. Be there for that person. Show that you care. Throughout my dark journey, I received hugs and words of encouragement from some of my brothers and sisters in Christ here at Holy Cross. Now, I know that if the Reverend Billy Graham was here right now, he would say, God is not done with me, and I am not done with God. I look forward to July 10th of this year, because on that day in 1953, I came into this world. I'm back, and there is so much more that I need to do and want to do. I want to use the gifts that God gave me. So in closing, I want to leave you with 2 Bible verses that I believe are very pertinent to what I experienced and what you or someone you know could be going through right now. Philippians 4, verse 13 to 14. I can do all this through him who gives me strength. Yet it was good of you to share in my troubles. 2 Thessalonians 3, verse 16. Now may the Lord of peace himself give you peace at all times, in every way. The Lord is with you all. Believe it and trust in God. So now I move forward from here. I am Lynn's husband, and I am Bill and Carol's second son, and I am proud to be one of God's people doing God's work. Have a great rest of the day, and I will see you in church.